yes. Yes. This is a present for me. Please. Cute. Okay, so the craziest thing just happened. We are about to start the event, and Dom, the ambassador from Australia for Claude Community, we just met, literally. So, Dom, I'm so curious to learn about you literally right now on the spot. So, could you give us a bit of information about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So hi, I'm Dom. I'm originally from Switzerland, but I live in Sydney, Australia for the last 13 years. My background is a software engineer for 13 years. And then for the last several years, I've been doing contracting, consulting more and more. And then really for the last 3 years, I've been headfirst in AI. So for a while, I lived in Alabama in the US, and that's when I really started to jump into AI with the Lower Alabama AI meetup, which is mostly business focused, so it's not the developer one. And then I came back to Australia last year and, hey, I need to do something. I built my own agency doing AI transformation and teaching. And then earlier this year, really, at the end of the last year, Anthropic started to do community meetups, and I applied to do one in Sydney, and somebody else, now friend Rai Smith from Melbourne, did the first event in Sydney, and I managed to go and speak, and that's the beginning of this adventure, and it's a crazy adventure.
So wait, so you attended an event, spoke at the event, and was this already when the official application happened, or it was before that?
Yeah, this was an official Claude community event, a Claude Code event. I met the person who organized it, Rai, and I asked, hey, can I present? Because I saw this as an incredible opportunity for me, myself, in Sydney, to build something in Sydney. I wanted to build a community of like-minded people. And so what happened was I got a chance to speak at the event, and it was a great success. We had 100 people there, right? It's a crazy draw card. And then the next thing was that because Rai isn't in Sydney itself, he's in a different city, so 2 hours flight. He's like, oh, if you want to run an event in Sydney, like that would be good. And he then recommended me as an ambassador. That's when the ambassador program really just started and the applications just began. And yeah, within the next few weeks, essentially, I became an ambassador, and he already had pre-booked event space. So we had already dates set up. And so since March, I have been running 2 events a month. So every 2 weeks. We have run, in Sydney, we have run 12 or 13 events. We have run 2 events in Brisbane, again, another city. He's running events in other cities in Australia. And together we are still building the Claude Community Australia. So you can go check us out, claudecommunity.com.au, and that's where we announce all the events and share stuff there.
First of all, congratulations. This is incredibly impressive. And I think this attitude of just like grabbing an opportunity, when I saw that applications for ambassador opened, at that time, like I built something on Claude Code and it did well and people loved it. And I was like, let me just immediately apply. And the joy I felt when I found that email, congratulations, out of 90,000 people. I was like, this is harder to get in as Harvard. Do you do now Claude Community ambassador stuff like full-time, or do you also continue with your business?
It's not it is kind of a full-time job, but it's not a paid gig, right? We're volunteers, we get reimbursed for events, but we're not getting paid. My main gig is running my own agency called Harbour Edge Intelligence. And over the last few months, really, this is going more and more towards training, especially around Claude Cowork. That has changed the game, and this is a little sneak peek. With Rai and somebody else, we're building something bigger, a bigger training / AI transformation agency. That's going to be announced very soon under the name of FutureDeployed. So you're one of the first ones to hear that.
Oh, okay. So with you throwing hints, I have to ask, are you getting Claude certifications, like Claude Certified Architect? Because I just did prep exam, passed it from first go on the edge, but I have registered for exam, and basically my community, like my members are doing it together. So did you do it? Are you planning to do? What is your attitude around it?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't done it yet, and they just announced more certifications. But this is in the end the goal for me. I want to do that because it's also it's part of becoming an Anthropic partner in the partner network, and it's really a way to go. But yeah, to be honest, I haven't had time over the last few months or since it was introduced because yeah, we run so many events. We had 1,400 people. No, yeah, 1,400 people in Sydney alone, across Australia, across the events in Australia that Ryan and I ran, and a couple of others that come on board now. We have done, I think, over 3,000 people that came through our doors. It's a crazy draw card. We had, I don't know how many people you guys have signed up for, but we had the craziest one was close to 400 people that wanted to come to an event that has space for 100.
I have to tell you. So this is exactly the number. So obviously I'm co-hosting the first one, so I'm yet to do my own. So I'm like baby steps observing, and I'm going to ask you all the questions about that. 100 people space. We accepted 192. And when people started DMing me like, hey, can you let me in? I'm like, okay. Guess how many are in a waiting list and we are not able to let in?
Easily 400.
Yes, yes, literally. So it's crazy. And we announced this event last week. I organized events and conferences. You do the whole marketing campaign to attract people. And this is, of course, being free because we are not earning anything from these events is a big thing. So I have to then ask, you are very international, obviously, like US, Europe, and Australia. You are literally connecting the whole world. We need to throw Africa a bit in there. What is the attitude around the traffic? Like when you talk with people, are they excited? Are there concerns? What type of questions people ask? Just any kind of give us an overview.
Yeah, I come to that very quickly regarding how many people we get. So usually we have a space that our regular space in Sydney is for 100, and usually we approve about 140 because the drop compared to any other events, the drop off is extremely low. So we'll see how things go tonight. And that's true for events in Melbourne and Adelaide as well. And except in Sydney, except if it's raining. If it's raining, then people don't show up. But that's a Sydney thing. Otherwise, coming back to your question, Anthropic and Claude is a crazy draw card. People are very curious. I don't know how the Codex ChatGPT events go in Sydney, but there are some. But for Claude, people are like, yeah, they're sucking up the information that we give them and disseminate at these events. And it's anywhere from students to C-suite, from founders and executives of companies across Australia. If you look at the data that Anthropic is publishing, Australia is one of the highest user per capita for Claude. Yeah. So Australia has 27 million, 28 million people. And I don't know the numbers, but per capita, it's one of the highest numbers. That is really something that stands out. In Australia, they just in April opened their new APAC office. I think they have one in Singapore, and now people are starting to work in Sydney. More offices, I think, are coming. We don't get any inside information anyway, but it's, yeah, people are very interested where it's going. There is always also some skeptical terms, and especially all around Fable, that controversy that was a big problem, right? And I was invited I've had to pay my own flight, but I could go to the developer conference in Tokyo, so that's where I got this little Claude. And they had just released Fable that morning when we started, right? And so we were like stuck in the conference center, and everyone was like on the side trying to do some stuff with Fable. And then by the time I landed in Sydney, access was gone. And that it was a big deal for Australia because Claude is so popular, and it's raising bigger questions, not only in Australia, but it's a bigger question of the clump risk and the exposure to American models, right? They are the leading technology at the moment, but it is also we're at the whims of essentially the US executive. If they say, hey, we can't use anyone outside Australia or anyone outside the US can't use it anymore, then Australia is losing out. And the same would be true for Europe, for here. Yeah.
Tell me about it. It's Berlin, Germany, so that's the whole other conversation. No, but you're right. I think a lot of people discovered Claude, especially beginning of year with the whole controversy. I've been tracking Anthropic for really since ChatGPT launched. My first video that took off, and the reason I have YouTube channel probably was about them hiring prompt engineers and paying 300K a year. So I was always tracking their research in development, and that their research in AI and how it works is one of the best ones. So like leaning into that, the politics, the business aside, I don't think any of these companies are angels in the sky. And some of them have very good marketing and strategies. So any last advice, words, and then we need to start letting in people.
Yeah, so the biggest thing really is don't get left behind, and don't think, oh, I don't need to learn this new technology. I don't need to invest in that too much. Really, if you're working in technology or if you're working with computers in general, then hey, look into that, right? I talked to a developer the other day and he's, oh yeah, no, I use Claude sometimes, or I use the chat function sometimes to write a little bits, but I want to understand every line of code, and every line of code needs to be written by me. And it's like he just didn't really, it's almost, I want to say, dead man walking, right? It's like you're going to lose your job. This is a big thing. And again, as you said, none of the companies are angels. There's always money involved. But a big thing that I got from the Claude conference in Tokyo, talking to several employees, they really want to make this work. They're really trying, and this is where we come in. They really want to build the community, and they say, look, it's not just the technologists that should come and disseminate this, that we should have grandmas taking that knowledge into their crochet group or their card playing group, right? Because it's going to affect all levels of society, and together we can prepare society the best by doing things like this, by bringing people together to learn. And that's the big thing on the city ambassadors for Claude, to actually bring the communities together and help them learn about the technology.
I think beautifully said. Just to end on a positive note, I think us as early adopters carry huge responsibility for the rest of the people, because we are paving the way, how we use it and what use cases we are using. And I think there is so much incredible opportunities with AI. Like Claude saved my life in a medical situation, which you shouldn't use AI for medical things, but it was right in a critical situation where ambulance didn't come, and that just the sky's the limit. And I'm really excited the communities we're going to build. I hope I get invited to Australia, just saying. Thank you so much, and it was lovely learning about your journey and meeting you, and just wish you all the best. And after event you need to tell us how we are doing, okay?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. And yeah, if you ever come to Australia, if you make it there, look us up. I'm based in Sydney, and then we have Rai down in Melbourne and Adelaide. He's doing tons of events. So yeah, if you or any of your viewer ever come to Sydney and want to come to one of our events, reach out. My best point of contact at this point is probably LinkedIn. We can share that, and then yeah, I'll see you there. Keep thinking, as Anthropic says.
Keep thinking. Thank you.